And hello, everyone. I made it. Kind of barely, but I am here. I'm in my hotel room overlooking, I'm actually at pretty high up. I think I'm in Kentucky. I don't know when that happened, but when I checked into the hotel, it said I was in Kentucky. So I am in Kentucky. So I'm still on the road, heading home. But I did want to start selling some of the great items that I've been sourcing on the trip. And so I'm taking my Thursday night slot and turning it into a live sale. So I'll have the live sale tonight with all of these will be, almost all of these are items that I've actually picked up on the road. Some of that I showed in the live haul earlier in the week. Some that I showed in the video that I did last week, which was the first part of my trip. So, some of it you might have seen before, but I'm now actually selling it. And some of it is stuff that I had carried with me specifically for the sale and or to photograph for eBay, which I haven't been doing a very good job of that during the trip, unfortunately. So I'm going to, just randomly grab items as I feel necessary, or if you guys have requests, because I do have a lot of postcards. I have a lot of ephemera, but I do not have just ephemera. So I will have other items as well, because I like ephemera, but not everyone does. So hello, Dan. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you hopping on. Hello, Chad. Thanks for coming in. And Jerry coming in from My Flea Market Treasures. Thanks so much for joining. So I don't know how long it'll run tonight. I didn't do as much advertising for it, so I will see, but hey, I appreciate whoever shows up. It's not an offer up, so I only have one item of everything to sell. So if people are interested in buying, I don't need that many people. One is enough. So as I started saying, I do have a lot of ephemera, but for those who are not really into ephemera, I do have some non-ephemera stuff. So some of it is things that just caught my eye. I'm really trying to figure out, I want to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. And part of that is what I want to do with my stores. So I have the booth in Geneva, Illinois. So some of the stuff I'll be putting in there. The stuff that's easier to ship, I want to continue doing through these live sales and or putting onto eBay. And I had to just figure out, eBay was doing really well for me for a while because I was posting regularly. I was, promoting my listings, doing all that fun stuff. And then I went on vacation, or put it on vacation mode. So technically, there's two different terms, and I can't remember which is which. So I chose the one that people could continue purchasing even while I was on sale, or while I was on vacation, but it would adjust the sale to show that I was going to ship. I couldn't ship until after I got back. So I've not had any sales since I left, which isn't a huge surprise. But up until the time I left, I was averaging one sale a day, which for me is a huge deal. So hopefully I can focus back up in March and get that up and running. But I also picked up some other stuff. And actually, you know what? I left it in the car again. I've got this beautiful porcelain bowl, which is not, it's stuff that I really like, but it's not stuff that I've typically been selling on my live sales or even in my booth. I'll have to pack it within an inch of its life if I sell it on eBay, but it's actually one of those types of things. I might go back to Etsy. I'd pretty much closed my Etsy store, and that might be an item that puts it back. And maybe I just do really the higher end, because it's an expensive piece. So we shall see. But anyway, thanks everyone for joining in. The first thing I'm going to start with is some of the items that I showed in my sale last week. Hey, Proud America. Hey, Delbert. Some of the things that I showed last week. And actually, one of the items I pulled aside, since Delbert just signed on, I'm not, at no point do I expect you to buy this, Delbert, but when I bought it, I did think of you. So I have it in this stack here. Where is it? Here it is. So I did show this last week. I can't remember if you were in my chat last week, Delbert. But even in the store, when that's the benefit of YouTube. It's a little more personal than eBay. So in the store, when I picked this up, I thought of Delbert, the proud American. So what this is, oh, that's okay, Delbert. No worries. And like I said, you do not have to buy this in any way. This is for sale for everyone. But I do think of people when I buy things. And so this is hopefully maybe people can figure out what this is. So it is on a piece of cardboard. And there are, you can see the stitching, like right here at the top. these little flags of fabric are stitched at the top in the red, white, and blue. And the card has some imagery on it. So freedom isn't free. You got to pay the price. You got to sacrifice for your liberty. And you've got the Iwo Jima. Hey, Sherry, you got the Iwo Jima, not the memorial. You actually have the picture, the actual picture that the memorial is based on. But the reason I liked it is because on the back, this is actually the salesman's sample. So a totally huckster item. It is these, let's sing out. The idea behind this is it's a pocket square. So if you had the suit, back in the days, if you had the suit, you wouldn't have to worry about how to fold your handkerchief. You just slide this card into your pocket. And they were given away by dry cleaners, clothing companies, things like that. And they could actually advertise their company. So you put your name, 4-line imprint was the dry cleaner, the company, whatever it is. And then you could buy 500 of them, cost $25, whatever the case. And then when you got them, and I found where I found this, they actually had several. This was the only patriotic one. Hey, Sonia. And I don't think I said hi to Tim. So thanks, Tim, for coming in. We've got the Canadian. I'm talking about America, but that's okay. Well, I don't know if we got any Canada stuff. But anyway, some of the ones that I found did actually have the clothing company in there. And there was another, they weren't all red, white, and blue. This was the only red, white, and blue one. It's the one that I liked the most. The others were more like actually fabrics that would have been popular at that time, like probably 50s, I would think. And so they were the same idea. It was the fabric and that was stitched on. And then it said, cut card to length of your pocket so that it would stick out. So anyway, so I thought that was pretty cool. Freedom isn't free. So it's a salesman sample, salesman huckster item. That's why I have it. But it is absolutely, freedom isn't free. It is our Americana. And it is available for $10. And if anyone would like it for $10, give me letter D. And I will warn you, this is probably more for a case. I don't know how long I'll keep the video up. I'll be reusing cards because I only brought a handful of them. So if something doesn't sell, that card number is going to be reused later. So if you buy something after the sale, you probably want to give me more than the letter. You probably want to tell me what it is. But it is $10 for the Americana Pocket Square. $10 by giving me letter D. Oh, and Delbert does pick it up. So like I said, you did not have to do that, Delbert. I absolutely appreciate you. But it's, if you're gonna make your YouTube name Proud American, it probably shouldn't be a surprise that we come up with Americana stuff and think of you. So I did not have a chance to print out all this stuff. I literally was setting up the lights like right before 8 o'clock. So I apologize that I'm not as organized as usual. But I need to make notes of what I'm selling and to whom. So I'm doing that off to the side. So thanks so much, Delbert. I will get that out to you. I'll actually probably, I can't remember exactly where you live. I'll probably be driving near you as I'm driving home. But anyway, that is set aside for you. The next item is something that's what I was going to start with. These were shown. I'm going to figure out how to do this. So I'll give a letter to each one of them. Oh, that's right. You were in Ohio. I was thinking you were in Kentucky, Delbert. That's okay. So these were quite a discussion point last week. So what these were, and we did kind of land on its blotter paper, like the kind of the weight of a blotter paper or just kind of a heavy cardstock. So some people, we did feel like maybe they were ink blotters, but they're relatively small. What do I have that's like a standard size? Well, my phone, it's smaller than my phone. So it's not particularly large. So it'd be a little small for an ink blotter. But when I bought them, they said they were menu cards. That's how I found them because I was buying menu stuff. I was buying menus. So I could see this kind of like sitting at a place card holder, and somebody had like, if you write the menu of what you're getting, so you could maybe hold the name. Anyway, I have a series of these and they're all different. I was going to list them on eBay, but I'm going to sell them here first. I will sell them here less than I will sell them on eBay. So for here, I'm just going to sell them at $5 a pop. So they're all the same size. Some of them have buildings on them. Some of them have women on them, and some of them have couples on them. So, hey, Sandy. So I will do these with the cards next to them, and I'll like set them down with their letters letters on them. So if you're claiming them, this is gonna be a case we need to claim kind of like right away, because I'll need to reuse the cards and I need to keep them straight. So we will start with the. Oh, I don't have enough hands, and I'm on this tiny little desk because the way I had to do my lights is awful. So anyway, so we're gonna start with this little lady in the full ball gown dress. She's got the Arc de Triomphe in the background. Oh, and they are all matte marked on the back, made in France. So these are all French cards. They all have some level, you can see kind of like the deckled edge on the top. You know, so they all have some sort of a cut edge. And none of them, I will indicate if any has actually damage. But so this one is the Arc de Triomphe. You get her. I just covered her up. You get her by giving me letter H. This one is printed a little bit differently. This one, we find it interesting that it stretches so far over that if you had like a menu or something, like you really don't have a lot of room up here, but kind of a cool background. So the woman in the fields, she is W. So if you'd like her, so these are $5. And this, I will include, these will just fit in a regular envelope. So I'll include shipping with these. So $5 for the menu place card. The one with a couple, where she's got the little yellow dress. This one does have a little bit of a crease and a slight tear at the very top. It's not noticeable once you flip it up. So that is the couple is letter C. And then the building, the first one I showed, the little castle kind of up on the hill, that one is letter Y. So Y for the little castle. So if you like any of those four, it didn't look like anyone was grabbing them, so I'm not going to go through the whole set. I will just do those. And if no one takes them, no worries. I will list them on eBay. Okay, I'm going to jump to some non-ephemera. This I picked up on the trip. And I did try to look it up, but I didn't have a lot of success. So it is, I'll show you the box top first. It is from the Taiwan Candle Incorporated, P.O. Box, whatever, Taipei, Taiwan, Republic of China. And it is code number 621 Confucius. And what this is it is a pair of Confucius candles. So these are not candle holders. These are the actual candles with Confucius shaped in wax. It doesn't particularly want to come out very easily. So I will show you this one. Check him out. So he's got his hat is pretty well carved in there, and he's decorated on all sides. So you got the robes all the way down. You've got a little carving on the sash of the robe. I don't know if there's any significance to that. And then you've got designs around his crown or hat. And so that's one. I actually haven't had them out yet. So let me pull this one out too, because I'm not sure if this is an exact pair or if this is, if they like just complement each other. So kind of looking like an exact pair. They look the same. So like I said, they're in their original packaging. And so you can see some of the wax is kind of like rubbed off in the styrofoam. But they're in their original packaging, so they won't be too hard to ship. They're solid, so they're probably, the package will definitely be over a pound. I don't think it'll be over 2 pounds, but it'll definitely be over a pound because these are fairly large. Again, I don't think I brought my tape measures, so I don't really have anything standard to show you on this. But I would say they're probably about a foot tall. So the candles, the pair of Confucius candles will be, well, here I will just sell them for $25. So $25 for the pair of Confucius candles. Hey, Bree. $25 for the pair in its original packaging. $25 by giving me a letter P. Letter P for the pair of Confucius candles. Writing that down so I don't forget what I said. All right. Next, we'll go to another piece of ephemera. I have far more ephemera than I have anything else. This I showed last week. So if we've got any dog lovers out there, this is the Purina advertising notebook. So Purina Dog Chow Kibble Meal in checkerboard bags, Ralston Purina Company. It is a field trial guide. So relatively specialized notebook. So not everyone's going to need a field guide. There is quite a bit of open space, so you could use this for a grocery list or for adding other notes. It's just kind of a cool thing if you're a dog lover and you're into vintage advertising, because basically that's what this is turned into. It's a cool piece. Again, it was going to be listing on eBay. I will just list it here, and for here it'll be $5. So $5 for the Purina Dog Chow Kibble Meal Notebook by giving me letter A. $5 for the Purina Notebook, letter A. It's funny that when I'm traveling on the East Coast, hey Boodle, I find many different things, things that I just don't really come across in the Midwest. And this is one of them. I mean, I probably could have come across this, but relatively specialized interest here. The Souvenir History of Johnstown, Pennsylvania, 1800 to 1939. Now, the only reason I've even heard of Johnstown, Pennsylvania is because of the Johnstown flood, and it includes the 50th anniversary of the 1889 flood. So it is going to be some, advertising in here as well, some ads. You got the cool ad for the Lyric Theater and the Rialto Theater, but it is effectively local history with images showing. So they had another flood in 1936. So they have photographs of what the flood did in 1936. And again, this is 1939. But it's got just some great illustrations in here. The first, Jamestown's first high school. Every page has some sort of advertisement for the companies that existed in 1939 when this was published. The plot of Johnstown in 1804. So it's definitely localized history, but I'm trying to think of the people that are in here. We've got any Pennsylvanians. It is kind of a cool piece. This is, again, something that was going to be going up on eBay. And if it doesn't sell here, that's where it will go. But I will put it at a lower price here than on eBay. So I'll sell this for $10 here. So the Souvenir History of Johnstown, Pennsylvania of 1939. $10 by giving me letter S. $10 letter S for the Johnstown flood brochure. This I showed last week, and I'll give I forgot to give the warning last time. I need to remember what the term is. The trigger warning for clown haters. So we've got a clown coming up. So this was a children's menu that I picked up that had the clown motif on the front. It is a hotel menu, so it's not going into my permanent collection, for the Hotel Statler in Buffalo, which happens to be a Hilton hotel. So you've got the two logos on there, or the two companies on there. It is a menu from 1956, so June 25th, 1956. And it has decoration on the front and on the back. On the back, there was a dot to connect the dots, which someone has actually done. So unfortunately, the activity, you could probably erase it because it looks like it's done in pencil. Excellent, Delbert, your spirit animal. Hey, Darlene. So it has already been completed. And also, fair warning, I didn't try and do anything with this. It looks like this was once glued into a journal or some sort of a scrapbook, and they tore it out. So the what's on here is actually the scrapbook paper. It doesn't look like the paper of the menu has been affected at all. So if you get some of that special solvent, you might be able to get that off. I'm not going to handle that because it's not particularly obtrusive, and really the cover is the attractiveness. So anyway, so this again will be going on eBay, but for now I will sell it here. And for the way most of the menus seem to be pricing, this one is going to be $15. So $15 for the clown menu, for children's menu, $15 by giving me letter X. So that's the menu. Let's see. Got a poodle here, and she's not particularly a Disney person, but we've got she's in California. So we've got a Disney item. I actually showed this last week as well. So this is just a little brochure. Oh, looks like Darlene is picking up the menu. Excellent. I think you bought, I remember one other time I had one of those paper mache clowns, and I want to say you bought that from me as well. So I don't come across, I mean, honestly, I don't come across clown stuff. I don't avoid it because I have no issues with them, but I don't really come across them that often. So thanks. I'm glad you're picking that up. So that is yours. So this is a Disneyland brochure. I picked up some random Disney ephemera a couple weeks ago and sold it on eBay, and it actually sold for, it ended up selling for $66, and it was just a couple maps from Disneyland Park from like the 60s, an old ticket stub, an old parking stub. I don't know what part of it. I asked the buyer, but he or she never responded. So I don't know like what was attractive to that, but it did get chased up to $66. So it's one of those, okay, it's Disney. People just like Disney. So, hey, Darlene. So it's just one of those cases. I saw this little thing of Disney. It has Tinkerbell and the Disney logo. It's specifically saying Disneyland Record, because what this would have been an insert for the albums. But you can see it actually, they sold this little booklet separately as well, because it's the lyrics to all the songs. So I think you got it from what I understand, you got it for free if you bought the record. But if you just wanted to have like extra copies, you pass around so everyone has their own other Disneyland records for your home enjoyment. So it's all about being the life of the party. You've got this little brochure. So it'll just slip into a regular envelope. So this one I'll do postage included for $5. So $5 postage included for the little Disneyland record brochure, and that you can get by giving me a letter I. $5, letter I, for the little Disneyland life of the party. All right. I have, where'd they go? Okay. I have a couple different photographs, and I showed some of these last week. So starting with I'm starting with the oh, hey, Poodle. It's going to pick up. You're going to pick up the Disneyland. $5, including postage. Because I'll just go in a little envelope. So thanks so much, Poodle, for picking up the Disneyland brochure. And thanks, Chad, for making sure I didn't miss that, because it's entirely possible I could. Okay, so what these are, so that I was, Heather Elizabeth corrected me very politely, because that's how she is. So I had, let me see if I can find the other ones. I had these, which I was calling card de visites, CDVs. She correctly corrected me and said that these are the cabinet cards and these are CDVs. So CDVs are smaller. So I had both. I just didn't show the CDVs last week. And to be perfectly honest, I didn't realize that the size dictated it. I'd heard of cabinet cards, but this is kind of drifting into something new. And the reason I drifted into the cabinet cards, was because they have these great graphics on the back. So I have these the CDVs for the same reason. So this is coming out of Richmond, Virginia, G.W. Davis, and pretty good looking gentleman with a very wide tie. So all of these, some of them are dated. Most of them are dated for the late 1800s. So that's just, I don't know if any of you guys are more knowledgeable on when, these were popular. So, I mean, this is after the Civil War, but this is giving me like Jefferson Davis type vibes here. And I don't know what that constellation is supposed to represent, because it's also kind of making me think of the Confederate flag for some reason. Maybe just because it's got Richmond plastered on there. But we've got the really, really wide tie. I don't know when that was, but I'm going to say that this is probably 1880s to 1890s. This one is actually dated 1886. He looks different. His collar, his looks very different. And look how high his coat goes up, and it doesn't look as buttoned properly. That's interesting too. You're getting your formal picture taken, but you really didn't button your coat the right way. So that was 1886. So I don't know. On the back, this one looks older. It just doesn't, and it's not as refined. Like this one has a gilt edge. I don't know if you can see that all the way around it. And the back is kind of like, it's actually etched in gold. So yeah, some pretty nice. So that one actually happens to have a date on it. They are different studios. So Petersburg, Virginia, Richmond, Virginia, Petersburg, Virginia, Petersburg, Virginia, Petersburg, Virginia, Petersburg, Virginia. This one I'm gonna have to like really pull out a loop, because I think it says something. I don't know with the brighter lights here if you guys can figure out what that says. There's something written in there. So it's not the company name, but it looks like somebody wrote something. So hopefully there's a name. So I'm not going to sell that one because I want to look that one up. And Petersburg. Now, the Petersburg ones, this is just something out of a weird coincidence. So I was in Virginia all this week, and I was talking to a gentleman who just opened a furniture making business in Petersburg, Virginia. And he said that the reason he picked Petersburg, which I kept calling Fredericksburg, but anyway, so the reason he picked Petersburg is he said it's like super, super inexpensive to live there. So we were talking to someone else who's from Virginia, and I think it's like an hour south or half hour south of Richmond, so fairly major city. And then Petersburg kind of a small. And they say, and the guy that knew Virginia, he said that Petersburg used to be like a major, destination, a major not a metropolis, but a pretty burgeoning town before the Civil War. And then it was basically wiped out during the Civil War and never really recovered. So what I found interesting is all of these that have Petersburg on there. So it couldn't have been wiped out completely, because they still had a photography studio. So it's really, I picked these up as a personal interest simply because I thought it'd be interesting to make that connection. And just, this gentleman, his hat's a bowler hat. Again, I'm not the fashion police, so I don't know like what era that would be. I think that's an Albert chain. I'm not sure what he's sitting in front of. So anyway, so some of them have names on the back. So I'm going to research the ones with names. A lot of them do not. So I am going to sell the CDVs for $10 a piece. So this gentleman with the bowler hat is letter D. So letter D for this, and this one is the Petersburg. And I'll include postage for these as well, because these will just go in a regular envelope. So this one is D. And then I need to reuse my cards. I didn't bring enough. We'll reuse X. So this gentleman with a very plastered on hair, he is also from Petersburg, Virginia, from the Lease Photograph Studio, but there's no additional information on this one. So he is also $10, including postage. He would be letter X. And this one I found interesting because it doesn't, it looks like it's been colored. You look really close. It's like somebody's put pink on his cheeks. And I don't think that could have been and with the negative, because the negative would have been in the sepia tone. So it's like they kind of colored it, but they didn't color anything else. They just colored his cheeks. They gave him a little bit of a rosy complexion. So this one is also from Petersburg. For this gentleman, he will be letter I. So those three I'm making available tonight. And let's see. I have some Christmas stuff. And I know it's kind of silly to sell Christmas stuff right now, but that's what I have. I think Christmas is good anytime. So this was the magazine that I showed last week. It is the Children's Playmate. Now, technically, this is the January issue, so it just has a snowman, but she's got a note in there that says Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And inside, there were some wintry, and I think there were some Christmas-themed puzzles and stuff in here. There's a Happy New Year story. Thanks, Poodle. Yeah, I mean, I think if I find good Christmas stuff, I'm going to buy it no matter what time of year it is. But some people just aren't in the mood to buy Christmas, other than like people do Christmas in July. But yeah, Chad, if I can find it, and in some cases, when you have it outside of the Christmas time, you can find some better selections because people aren't fighting over it. Not everyone's picking through or looking through the box that's marked holiday. So this is a children's magazine for boys and girls 4 to 14. So there's stories about the first hunt. Nanook was only 12 years old, but his Eskimo village, or now we would call Inuit village, needed meat. So I think this is it. One about the dog. Yeah, so it's like him with his dog. Let's see. Marmaduke Mura's got some penguins in it. So it's like we're doing winter, but I thought there was a Christmas. Oh, there's a follow the dots puzzle. But again, somebody's already followed the dots. And I'm sorry, it looks like that is Pinocchio throwing up. What is that? I don't know, they didn't connect the dots correctly because that doesn't look right. The baby's on the ground. I do not know what is coming out of that and what is coming out of that mouth. 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. It looks like they did it correctly. And the other arm looks like just Amazonian arm. I don't know, like that. I'm not sure if that was all done correctly. There's a page in the middle. Oh, this is the one I discovered that there was a couple pages missing. So this goes from 24 to 29, and then there's this little page that pops out. So I'm going to knock the price down a little bit for that. Anyway, so this is. I would put it for more on eBay, but now I've got to disclose the damage. So let's see. Here I will sell it for $8. So for $8 for the Children's Playmate magazine, $8. Give me letter H. $8, letter H. All right. Since we are on Christmas, I actually found what I think are some pretty cool Christmas items. And I'm going to have you guys tell me what you think they are, because to be 100% sure, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So there's 2 of them. I've got them in the same place. And they've got to be related, but you'll see in a second. So what they are is they're little tags. They're metal. And you can see there's a little circle around them. So one of them says, to Henry from Papa and Mama, Christmas 1909. So you can see it's engraved. And the other one says, Fanny, Christmas 1909 from Fred. So I'm assuming Mama and Papa are Fred's Mama and Papa, and Franny's maybe a loved one, a sister, or something like that. But they actually got from Fred put on there. But they're both dated 1909. Is they have these little tags on the top. On the back, these have been cut from something, and I don't know what they're cut from. So it's extremely thin. It looks like that one word, AD adage, maybe G-E, and then the capital letter B and an A. Underneath that, does it say head, H-E-A-D? And then like I-N-O. I don't think they connect, although that'd be pretty cool if they did. I don't think they connect. Oh, I am 100% wrong. They do connect. So hold on. Because adage, I don't know if that says an adage, but the B-A then spells baggage. Deed. So B-A-G-G-A-G-E. And then it looks like it says Indian. Ideal. But above, if you look above where it says baggage, it just looks like the letter M repeated over and over again. Try to hold in a light in a way to actually see it. I mean, it doesn't, I mean, maybe it's just trying to be a scroll, but it's not continuous. So it looks like they're just like little individual scripts. So I don't know if this was like a practice piece, like maybe they were practicing how to do M's and they were spelling different words, because I don't know. It's cool that they go together, but I am going to split them up because I don't think, obviously they weren't designed to go together. They just kind of came from the same place. And I don't think, I mean, I think people buy them because they're cool, but I don't think they'll buy both of them because how can you display the both? So hopefully I'm not making the bad decision, but I am going to separate them. But to me, this would just make a cool Christmas ornament or make it like a little keychain or something, because it is metal. Like it would survive if you used it for other things. But the fact that it actually says Christmas 1909, I absolutely fell in love with these, and I think they're sweet. And I think they're better to sell here than to sell on eBay, because what are you supposed to look? What's the keyword I'm supposed to use? Because I don't even know. Like what's also interesting is on the front of this, you can see it's a silver or white metal. It looks like copper plate on the back. So I just don't know what these are. So they're $10 a piece. So if you want again, they're lightweight. I can just put these in a regular envelope. So if you want actually I said that from, I'll let you pick. I'll put a letter on each of them. Hey, Jackie. So, okay. So I just actually screwed this up. So this is to Henry from Papa and Mama. I was thinking it was the other way around. And then this one's from Fred. So maybe Fred is Papa. I don't know. So if you want the one that says to Henry from Papa and Mama, Christmas 1909, that one will be letter W. So to Henry from Papa and Mama, Christmas 1909. That one's letter W. And if you want the one that says Fanny, Christmas 1909 from Fred, Fanny, there it is, Fanny. So it doesn't say to Fanny, it just says Fanny. So Fanny, Christmas 1909. At one point that said 8, but it says 9, from Fred. That is letter Y. So it looks like Cozy Curated Cottage picked up the to Henry one. So thank you so much for that. And unless anyone changes, I do see 2 people trying to get Y, and I do see Cozy Curated Cottage is grabbing it. And I appreciate you having the sentimentality of keeping them together. I was feeling a little guilty about separating them because I don't normally like to do that, but if this were to, if it had spelled out the entire, like this had been a plaque and it was just like the two halves made the full plaque, I would have absolutely kept them together because they're partial. I'm not going to. So glad that you are. And I will have to apologize. I can't remember your actual name. I know you've been on my channel before, and I think it's been a while since you bought from me. So just remind me and send me your information. So I'm sure I have it. It's just not registering off the top of my head right now. So I do apologize. I mean, no, Abby. Okay. Thank you. I mean, I always try and do my best, but sometimes I fail. So I appreciate. Okay. So those are going to Abby. Writing that down. Okay. This, I'm not sure. I've got, got people here. Hey, Beth. So I showed last week, I picked up a ton of tobacco cards, and I bought them specifically to go into my booth, and I bought a bunch of partial sets. So they were just going to the booth. They're going to go in their booth for $1 a piece, and they're cute. And if you don't know what a tobacco card is, I'll show you really quick. Joni from Vintageous and I did a deep dive a year or two ago. They are small little cards that I'll give you. Everyone knows the size of a push penny. I'll be selling this in a minute, so you can see the size. So these are just small little cards. They were originated when cigarette packing was soft-sided. These actually helped give rigidity to the cigarettes. These were released by the Wills Company, but not until 1950. So they did become a collector's item. And what ends up happening, and this happens too, like I did a lot of ephemera on this trip. So I ended up, as I'm looking for more ephemera, I ended up finding more ephemera. And this is one of the few times I found an entire set. So this is all 25 cards. There are 25 in the series. It was issued in, again, 1950. So these aren't as old as some of the ones that I collect and that Joni and I showed. But this is from the the Pond and Aquarium series. So we've got tropical fish. Well, I think I used to have those. A Tetra? Where are those? Just as tropical fish. Sword tails. Yes, I used to have sword tails. Angelfish. Bunch of fish. So it's one of those cases where, in my opinion, when you end up having a set, the logic ends up being like, oh, you got a full set, so it's worth more. When it comes to some of the cards, particularly this style, the set actually hurts because I would probably sell them better if I sold them individually at $1 or $2, $1 or $2 a piece, because then people can buy whatever they want. But it'll take me a lot longer to sell them, and some of the less attractive fish may never sell. So it's one of those cases you have to balance it out. So if I sold them all for $1 a card instead of 25, it'd be $25. If I'm $2 a card, $50. Most likely, the more attractive ones would go for $2. The cheaper ones would go for $1. I'm just selling the entire set for $20. So if anyone likes cigarette cards, you end up having an instant collection, all 25 cards of the Pond and Aquarium set, all 25 for $20. And I won't be able to do this for shipping included. If I separate the packet, I might be able to like lay them flat, and I can put them in an envelope so we can work that out with whoever buys it. But so $20, so it's less than $1 a card, $20 for the aquarium cards by giving me letter Y. So $20 the aquarium cards, letter Y. Jump to something non-ephemera again. Write down what I just said. Okay, I showed the penny as a frame of reference, so I will show that next. So I have 2 push pennies, and I will be actually selling a collection of push pennies that I found before I left home. I've got a really good deal. It was just a Ziploc bag of just I think it was like 75 or 100 pressed pennies. And I didn't even know what was in there. Turns out there's a bunch of stuff from the zoo. There's a bunch of stuff from the West Coast. They were just from all over the place, totally random. These are not random. These are from the 1933 World's Fair in Chicago. So we've got this one. Got the dirigible up on the top. I think this is the transportation building. And you can see Century of Progress down at the bottom. And then the other one is upside down. Chicago Century of Progress. So this is another building at the top. All right, I need to pull out my loop here. Sorry, didn't get a chance to do this before. A Century of Progress, Chicago, 1933. Okay, it does not. Oh, there you go. Sky Ride. And yes, they are pennies that you would put into a machine. Now, I don't know what the machines look like in 1933, but you just took a regular penny and then you squished it through the rollers and you end up pushing out the penny. So this is the Sky Ride from 1933. And what's funny is, and I didn't bring it in with me, I think it's still in the car. I was at Colonial Williamsburg for the conference. They had a penny machine and I knew I had that bag of pennies back home. Like, oh, I'm going to make one. And I was going to make a video and there were other people and I just didn't end up doing it. But I actually have a freshly minted one. They look the same. And then it's just all about the designs. And then this other one that I showed before, A Century of Progress. So let's say the building of this one. Chicago 1933. Yeah, it doesn't say the name of the building, but it's got the dirigible on there. So I think that that's the transportation building. I should know. I have a lot of stuff from the World's Fair, but I don't remember the individual buildings by name. So the fact that these have some age to them, they literally dated 1933. The penny, of course, is no longer any way to note how old the penny is. But they would have been made at the time back in the days when the penny actually still had copper in them. So because the penny would be from pre-1933. These will eventually, if they don't sell here, they'll go on to eBay. But these will also sell with shipping included because, again, these can just go into a regular envelope. These will end up being $10 a piece. So quite the inflation for the your grandparents went to the World's Fair for their honeymoon? That's fantastic. Yes, this was the 1933 with World's Fair. This was the one that was in Chicago. So Century of Progress. The city was founded in 1833. And it was one of those conversations that kept happening while I was in Williamsburg because so many people there, of course, people want to know what you collect, what area do you specialize in? There's like totally high-end dealers and collectors, connoisseurs. And of course, they're focusing on the 18th century. I'm like, people, don't forget, Chicago didn't exist in the 18th century as a city. It was an encampment for the Native American tribes of the area. It was founded in 1833 because 1933 was the Century of Progress. So, we just don't have the history that happens here on the East Coast. So anyway, so the transportation building will be $10. That will be letter W. And the Sky Ride will be $10. And that will be letter Y. So Y for the Sky Ride, W for the transportation building. Yeah, I have a couple of things I need to get listed. There's a lot of competition on eBay for World Fair items. But there's also a lot of activity of people buying World's Fair items. And the Chicago one, I might actually put some of that in the booth because there is that local interest for the for my area since my booth is outside Chicago. So a lot of stuff like the postcards and things that I get, some of them I'm listing online, but if they're anything to do with Chicago or Illinois, I'm keeping them in the booth because they'll probably sell a little bit faster or a little bit better because there's a local interest for that. All right. Next item is, I had a couple. I don't really do this very often, but I've gotten some mixed lot papers earlier, and I ended up getting a couple of cards, which I thought were kind of cool. So this, I have a feeling, would have done better at Valentine's Day or prior to Valentine's Day. It is not specifically a Valentine, I don't think. It's just a beautiful color to the girl of my heart. This beautiful colored illustration of man handing a rose to a lady with a flower basket. Got this beautiful decal edge on the edge of the paper. Inside is also colored in the top and the bottom corner. And then you got the poem. So it says, "Girl of my heart, I love you and hold you ever dear, not with a fleeting fancy, but with a love sincere, and one that only deepens as days and months depart and leave behind sweet memories of you, dear girl of my heart." Okay, the meter kind of got messed up there at the end. So it was given, though, on Valentine's Day. Gordon had the wherewithal to sign on the back. So I don't know if it was in the nature of framing these or doing something with them. So he didn't mess it up. He didn't write in the front. He didn't write in the inside. He wrote it on the back. So he wrote, "Love to you, Gordon, 2/14/28." So 1928. So we're coming up on 100 years old. And this is in beautiful condition. It has not been creased. It has not been torn. There's no physical damage to it. There is a little bit of discoloration that you can see along the edges, which you're going to find a little bit of. I'm not even sure this is foxing. In some cases, I think it's just dirt. So like a good rubber eraser might you'd be able to clean this up a little bit. But I've never seen the gold. Like she's got the gold in her dress, the little gold on the bush down at the bottom, in such great condition. I mean that these have it's just survived so well. So this one, I was probably gonna sell at my booth. So this one I'll do again with shipping included because the flat fold envelopes that I use for photographs or that are designed for photographs, this will fit in there. So I'll do this with postage included for $6. So for $6 for the Valentine's card, basically. But like it doesn't say Valentine's Day. He did give it to her on Valentine's Day. $6 postage included by giving me letter W for the Valentine. Okay. And then I had another card, which this one I thought was super sweet. I got these in the same place. So I don't know if this has, I don't think Gordon didn't sign this one, but I don't know if Gordon was related. This is technically an Easter card. And I don't think I knew that when I bought it. I think I just assumed it was a birthday card. So this one says on the front, check out the graphics on this. "Because of you, dear sister." So it's a little bit larger. So again, like in proportion to my phone, it's a little bit bigger. It's got the ribbon. Ribbon's in a little rough shape. You can see it's kind of frayed on the edges, but again, based on the age, it's probably from the 20s or 30s. The ribbon survived is pretty impressive all on its own. So it says, "Because of you, dear sister." There is a little bit of discoloration up in the corner. It then has, the reason the ribbon is there is because it's attaching the insert paper. So the outside is this cardstock, kind of like the ink blotter paper. And then the inside is a much thinner paper that has the message on it. So there's nothing on the inside two flaps. And then there's this beautiful poem with some beautiful decoration on there. And it says, "May Easter sunlight bright and shine because of you, dear sister of mine. But if there is no sun, why then just read this sunny verse again." So I don't know why it's a Easter card. I mean, I'll keep reading the word to make sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it says Easter. Don't know what else it would. So it says, "Best love, Lois," something. I don't know. So she did not have the wherewithal, as Gordon did, to not sign the inside. So you do have the little message, but then you turn that page to get to the inside cover, and there's actually a full message. So she wrote that on the back, and it says something Edna. Maybe dear, but that's a weird looking D. So I'm not sure what that says. "How are you doing? Something wet beard for nearly a week." I'm sure she doesn't have a wet beard, but I'm not sure what the rest of that sentence is. "I judge from silence you are in grieving." Okay, honey, that's a little passive aggressive. "I judge from silence you are in grieving. You're something for more something him I ever could. I'm enclosing a clipping. I'm closing a clipping of our doings, the 19th. Something you cannot be with us. Oh, too bad you cannot be with us. I do not expect to go to something at all Friday night. I do not expect to go to bed. Oh, to a bed. I do not expect to go to a bed at all Friday night. And no use by the trains. Something will make. All right. Yours. I see a lot of dots. So I know those are initials, because on the inside, an L and an, I would say an L and an M, like Lois Murray. But this looks like MOC. Yours. Okay. So whatever. I just found the art on this. And like I said, I don't typically get cards because I don't, but this, for those of you who do the vignettes, the colors on this, the acid green is just absolutely amazing. And the fact that this is an Easter card, I just think puts a totally different twist on Easter. So this one is a little bit bigger. I'm not 100% sure it'll fit in the standard in my regular thing. So the postage might be more. So this one I won't do postage included. So this one I'll do $6 plus postage. So if you want the shady Easter card, $6 plus postage by giving me letter Y. All right. So shady Easter card. Okay. All right. We hit an hour. And so I'm just going to finish with a couple things that I had on the side and wrap things up. All right. You know what? Since I did that Easter card, I have a couple of Easter postcards. No, I only have one. No, I thought I had another one. I appear to only have one Easter card. I don't know where the other ones went. So I got one Easter postcard. It's Easter greetings. What I really liked about this one is the darker color. All right, so the shady Easter card is going to Poodle. All right, so I will combine that with your other ones. I'll just make out. I'll take care of your Poodle. So that hopefully I can do it all with postage included. But if not, it'll only be like $1 or something. It just depends on what envelope I can fit it into. So thank you for picking up the shady postage gift card or Easter card. All right, so this is an Easter postcard. So what I liked about this one is the fact that it had the darker colors to it, because it's the thing, Easter's spring. So everyone's got really light pastel-y colors. I'm not a light pastel-y color kind of guy. So I like these darker colors. I know it's not for me, but there's got to be other people out there that appreciate the more jewel tones, even when it comes to spring. So the fact that it's got the birds breaking out, it's got the very pretty spring flowers, but they're breaking out of a nice burgundy colored card. This one is, and I also really like them when they're postmarked. So this one is from 1908. And you can see on the back much better than the front. You can see it's an embossed card. So look at all the embossing that's done on that. All of that garland, the whole egg, everything is embossed. So it's an absolutely beautiful card. 1908. It does have a message written like in a circle, like it's written around the edges. So I'm not sure I'm going to be able to read much of it. Well, and I hope those few lines will find you all well. Tell your grand must say daughter. I've never heard of a grand brother. So granddaughter to write, and something last mind will come in. Okay, so nothing earth shattering. I almost bought one today. It was very cool, but it wasn't marked. And it was a salesman's card it was a postcard, but it was typed. And it was a salesman's card saying, dear Mrs. Whatever, your husband's tombstone is finished. We will meet you at the cemetery at a certain time, at a certain date for installation, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. I've never seen something like that. Like that's like so impersonal to send a postcard, but it's like, oh yeah, let's meet at cemeteries. We can put your husband's tombstone on. But then I asked and they wanted $10 for it. I'm like, okay, never mind. So I didn't pick that one up. So sometimes I like when they say something interesting. This one relatively simple. And yes, this one does not have the birds. You'll have to have the birds in theory bringing the garlands to you or to your trees. I know, Abby, it was one of those cases, even afterwards, I'm like, it's probably worth more than 10, but this is like a new area for me. So the postcards that I've sold, even the ones I've sold online, are only selling for like $6, $7, $8. So for me to buy something for 10, is it worth 20? Because especially if I'm selling it on eBay, I've got to be able to at least double that kind of money because there's so many fees going into eBay right now. I sold something the other day, and because I did a promoted listing, and the way the promoted listings are now is they're actually taking a percentage of the shipping, and it was a heavier item. So I ended up paying, it ended up costing like 20, almost 25%, like 22% of my selling price is what went into the fees. I'm like, okay, that's insane. So you know what, buyer's remorse, I didn't buy it. But because it wasn't saying anything I'd ever seen. If it hadn't been typed, I would have definitely bought it for 10. But because it was typed, I didn't worry. But yeah, and people will pay for the creepy. So for the non-creepy, this is a $5 postcard with postage included, because this does fit into one of those standard, because that's how I normally mail. It would be more on eBay, but I will sell it here for $5, including postage. And again, this is from 1908, and you can get that by giving me letter W. Poodle has a 1909 letter to my relative. The bank was going to have to come down and talk about the land. Ooh, we need to talk. That would not be a good letter to get in 1909 because you may not talk for like weeks. So you have to sit there and wonder what's going to happen. So anyway, so I said W, $5 postage included for the Easter postcard. Let's see. And Jerry is picking up that one. Okay. Excellent. Thank you, Jerry, for picking that up. All right. The last thing I've got sitting in front of me is I had to pick this up. And in an ideal world, I'd have ample space. I'd have ample storage. I could just keep everything that I liked for myself and be done with it. Not going to happen. So as a huckster, even though I'm a trusty one of the most prevalent huckster, or at least sales items out there is the Fuller Brush Man. So I'm not old enough to have known the Fuller Brush Man. Fuller Brush Man did not come to our house, but everyone knows of the Fuller Brush Man. I have a Fuller Brush Man letter opener. So it actually has the Fuller logo right there. It's made in the USA. And it's actually a little image of a huckster. It's a little image of a salesman holding his sample case. And he's got the double-breasted suit with the tie and the hat. So he is like my little, like what we say the clowns are Delbert's spirit animals. We've got the Fuller Brush Man would be my spirit animal. But I just can't continue to have, I can't build, keep everything I think is cool. This looks like a crack. It's actually the edge of his coat. I had to stop talking there for a second because I thought, wait a minute, is that cracked? But that's actually the edge of his coat. So that is actually supposed to be there. The sticker I will clean off better. That was the original price tag, but that's Fuller was underneath the price tag. So I had to scrape that off so you could see what it said. Hopefully I'm not making a mistake on this one. I know, Laura, but it's one of those cases. That's one of the reasons I started doing the reselling was because I find these really cool things. I like to be able to handle them, but then I want them to go out into the world and let somebody else give them a better home and a more permanent home. I would appreciate it, but it would also, like, I don't use a letter opener. So, and I don't really have a way to display him. So I am letting him go. Based on what I paid for him, I'm going to sell him for $12. I don't know if that's low or high, but that's what I'm going to be doing here. If I do mini me love and Delbert, if I list online, I'll do a little bit more research and who knows what he might actually be worth, but I'm happy if I can sell him for 12, I'll sell it here. So $12 for the Fuller Brush Man letter opener with letter Y. And I will have to charge postage for this because it'll be based on where it goes because it'll have to be in a thicker envelope. And I will finish with the Fuller Brush Man. So I just wanted to keep this one relatively short. I need to start taking photographs. I need to start getting things put up on my eBay store. There's a new thing, and let me know if anybody, thanks Poodle. Let me know if any of you have done anything with it, particularly the resellers. There is a, I can't think of the word, Instagram. There's an Instagram hashtag that was, I don't know, actually she said it was started in December. I just discovered it this week. It was literally, I think its hashtag is it's either 90 seconds of vintage or 90 seconds vintage. I think it's 90 seconds of vintage. And the concept behind it, from what I can tell, is it was started by an individual, and I apologize that I can't think of her name right now, but she's a Instagrammer, and not like a massive Instagrammer. Like she's got several thousand, but not crazy big. She just started this, and people have kind of latched onto it. And it's literally 90-second videos where you're just selling like 3, 4, 5 items, something really simple, really basic, that you don't have to do a lot of detail. You can write a lot more detail in the description, in the text of the post. And, but it's an idea, you can post them as often as you want. So like some people are doing them daily, some people are doing them weekly. I got to figure out what I can do. Like I might start with doing them weekly, just because it might be an easy way to list like, okay, I'm going to sell some menus, and like I can just, like my $5 ephemera sales, like I will just say like, here's everything I'm going to show you is $5 or is $10, or these are all menus and they have different prices. I just don't know anyone who's done it. I haven't purchased anything from it. I do. I will actually be participating not this coming weekend, next weekend, the 10th. I think it's the 10th and the 11th, if I remember correctly, Friday and Saturday. Paper Nerd on Instagram. They organize a sale every month, and I participate about every other month. Hey, Don. I participate every other month, so I'm going to be doing it in March, and that is just ephemera. So I'll be participating in that. So I'll try and list some things there. I just have I bought way too much. Like, let's just be honest. I got into it. I not getting too personal. There's some stuff going on in my life, and I was depressed, and it was my retail therapy. I was buying more than I should be buying, so I need to sell it because I need to pay for this trip, and I need to pay for all the stuff that I just bought. So I will be doing another live sale next week, a week from tonight. That is going to be the rescheduled sale that I'll be doing from the booth. So that'll be at the Geneva Antique Market, same time next Thursday, 8 o'clock Eastern. That I'll be selling. I have some jewelry. I've had to buy more since I sold all mine last time. But I will be going from booth to booth and pulling from different people. So you'll kind of be getting the best selections because I'm not just selling one person's stuff. I'm going to be selling from all over. It's a bunch of signed pieces. People want, I can throw some Christmas stuff in there. Because I was one booth that's just a ton of Christmas jewelry. So Abby was saying she heard about the 90-second. I think I did probably in the live sale I mentioned, or in the live chat. Paper Nerd I've done mixed on. If I price things really, really low, I sell. If I price them what they're worth, they don't sell. So it's just one of those cases that as a buyer, some people are like, oh, this platform is so great. Well, it's great because you can buy things for a couple of bucks. As a seller, the time I have to go into putting the pictures onto Instagram, if I have to take all the pictures, I might as well be putting it onto eBay. So I've got to be careful of what I'm doing on what I'm putting into Paper Nerd. But I have sold fairly nicely. And again, with Paper Nerd, because it's all ephemera, as long as I'm not dealing with like magazines and stuff, they're all really easy to ship. Thank you, Don. The hat is hiding an entire day of driving head or sweaty hair because I started in Virginia and I crossed through West Virginia and I'm now in Kentucky, working my way home, trying to make sure I avoid the snowstorm that evidently is heading my way. Last I heard, my area is calling for 10 inches of snow, which will be basically what we've received all winter long. We're only having this one storm, so I need to make sure that I do not land home in the middle of that. So I'm in the South right now. It's in the 60s. Like I'm pretty content. But I will be going back to the cold, and the hat just hides the day of sweat. So anyway, that's kind of gross, but so the Christmas jewelry. So I'll show some of that. So I don't know how much Ohio is going to get. So like when I left for this trip, if anybody from the North remembers, that was last week, I left on a Wednesday. Well, Wednesday was when that ice storm was coming in, but it went up really high. So where I live was like right in the band where it wasn't the snow, it was the ice, and then there was nothing. So like dear Angela's Vintage, she lives about 30 miles north of me. She ended up smack in the middle of the ice storm. So she lost power for, I think, hours or a couple of days. I was just outside of it. So I'm like watching the Weather Channel, like, okay, when am I going to drive? Like, when can I get out of here? Because I was like right on that cusp. So like once I could get away from Chicago, that one didn't even go to Ohio. That one was like super far north because then I drove through Indiana. And by the time I reached Cincinnati, it was like 65 degrees. Like I left an ice storm and I landed in 65 degrees. But this one, that 10 inches is supposed to go at least into like central Illinois and into Indiana. I just don't know if it's going to hit you, how it'll hit you over in Ohio. So, oh goodness, snow on the Hollywood sign. Holy cats. Okay, Beth, Texas girl, 80. Oh, but tomorrow's gonna be 45. Man, you guys have been digging out your parkas. 45 is that you might as well snow for you guys. So I have to really pay close attention for the next couple of days because I'm driving in spurts, and I just need to make sure that I don't end up hitting a snowstorm. Like technology is a lovely thing, so I need to schedule my hotels and stuff so that I don't land in the middle of an ice storm. As it was, I scheduled this trip to make it through the bulk of the mountain driving. I wanted to make sure I did it during the day because I was at an antique shop in, it must have been West Virginia. I think I was out of Virginia. Yeah, it must have been West Virginia because that's where more of the mountains are. And I'm driving down this road and I look and we're at least like 60 or 70 feet below the interstate overpass. And I'm like, I'm not used to this. I can put like a 10-story building in between me and that overpass. We're the Great Plains. Like we have nothing. You know, a pothole is a hill and a valley. Like we don't have this. My ears were popping. I'm not used to that. I did, and I'm not exactly usually following the speed limit. Some of the curves in these mountain roads really can't be made at that speed that I was driving. So I'm like, on the way out to Virginia, I'm like, yeah, I need to make sure I do this during the day because this at night could be kind of harrowing. So made it into Kentucky without any issues. And I don't think I've got any more mountain driving. I think I'm out of that now. But it's just a very different experience. So yes, Delbert coming into Ohio. So we'll see if you get this storm. It's just one of those cases. It had gotten so, and I think that's what a lot of us are seeing. It's gotten so warm when it suddenly hits. Like when the ice storm came into the Chicago area last week, I think the week before we'd been in the 60s and 70s. So all of a sudden for us to be hit with storm, like, okay, it's still February in Chicago. We shouldn't be that surprised. But, you know, there's, you know, we post all the time. There's winter, and then there's false spring, and then there's like winter returns, and then like, you know, you think you're out of it now, and then it, like winter surprises you. We're at the winter surprises you step of our seasons. But anyway, so I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I know that with my not doing regular videos and regular appearances over the last several months, even YouTube, like my videos don't go into any algorithms anymore. Like the number of people that I get watching my recorded videos, it's kind of like, why did he bother to do this? So I really do appreciate, truly appreciate when you guys do participate, because I love the chat. I love you guys hanging out. And like I said, like the first thing, and again, Delbert, I did not mean to have, guilt you into buying it. But when I do buy things, I think of people being specific. Anytime I get something with a dog on it, I think of Dawn. Anything from California, I think of Poodle. If it's San Francisco, I think of Karen. Karen. So Texas, I'll think of Beth. So you do kind of get used to seeing each other. Canada, I think of Tim. So anyway, I appreciate y'all hanging out. So I just be aware for those of you, the things that were bought tonight, I don't get home until Sunday. So invoicing will be a little bit later than normal, particularly for most of this or any of the stuff that I had to add postage to. I need to figure out what box or envelope I need to put it into, like the Fuller Brush Man. He's not going to be heavy. I just have to figure out how to pack him. So I won't be able to do that until I get home. So just be aware of that. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I have been fairly regular about posting Instagram stuff on what I've been doing throughout this trip. So there's, in my opinion, some pretty cool videos that I posted from, just short videos that I posted from Williamsburg. And I will be editing a couple of additional videos of, more detailed stuff that I'll be showing. I'll try and get those edited, over the next week or so before they get outdated. So I'm going to try and have more content more regularly. But subscribe and figure out what I'm doing, because sometimes I don't even know what I'm going to do. So thanks everybody for hanging out with me tonight. Hope you all have a great evening and it's vacation. I don't even know what day of the week. This is Thursday, so I guess you guys have to still go with one more day of work, but make sure you enjoy the weekend. So thanks for your time. Thanks for your trust and Trusty Huckster. Talk to y'all later. Bye.